The daily bread was really good today. And so then whatever you put in yourself, totally, that's what's gonna come out. And that heart, that's sowing and reaping. That heart, sowing and harvest time seems to keep coming up here lately, doesn't it? And so we kind of move into this place today because there was a couple of things that, yeah, so what we practice becomes automatic, doesn't it? I mean, let's look at something. I want to look at something. And I think you guys are really, because Demetrius brought something up, and I know Jackson brought something up, and we just want to take a look at something, just so that we can get some understanding. I think that it's going to be great for the whole and total and for all. How about Genesis, the 12th chapter? I want you to see something. And so we're just going to talk a little bit, and we're going to see which way and what direction this goes in today. And then we'll kind of go from there, won't we? And that's Genesis, the 12th chapter. So that's that first book, isn't it? And we're going to take a look at verse 1, because I want to make sure that we have some thoughts in and the way God is why you're turning to Genesis 12 and 1. What God does is He did the same thing in the Old Testament as He did in the New Testament. So He sent many times a concrete example for a spiritual example. And so let me try that again. He sent something to the people in the flesh, in the earth, as He's telling us to become. And in reality, it says in Genesis 12 and 1. Are we doing good? Mm-hmm. Now the Lord has said unto Abram, Get thee out of thy country, and from thy kindred, and from thy father's house, unto a land I will show thee. And I will make thee a great nation, and I will bless thee, and make thy name great, and thou shalt be a blessing. So we're just kind of thinking about what this saying, right? As it's saying, what it's saying. So then, when I get to this new place, I'm not only going to be blessed, but I'm going to be able to be a blessing. Okay? Verse 3 says, And I will bless them that bless thee, and curse him that curseth thee. And in thee shall all families of the earth be blessed. So Abram departed, as the Lord had spoken unto him, and Lot went with him. And Abram was 75 years old when he departed out of Haran. And Abram took Sarah his wife, and Lot his brother's son, his nephew, and all their substance that they had gathered, and the souls that they had gotten in Haran. So they were doing some work in Haran, weren't they? Excuse me, they were witnessing to people, because all the people that they had witnessed to also went with them, didn't they? And they went forth to go into the land of Canaan, and into the land of Canaan they came. And Abram passed through the land unto the place of Shechem, and unto the plain of Moriah. And the Canaanite was then in the land. So what God was showing us, even showing the people even then, was that even in this land that's somewhat disturbed, called the earth, there's a promise. That's what you brought up. And so then this ministry, these ministries should be, I can't speak for everyone else, this ministry is telling us that if I hear His voice, that's what you brought up. And so then you can see that where they showed a physical example of what Abram was to do is exactly what we're supposed to do, is to change our thinking. Now, what they did in the physical was picked up their stuff and left from where they were at. What we do in the spiritual is change our thinking. And the outcome is still the same, the promise. What did you say to me, Demetrius? You said, because he what? He promised. So if I change my thinking and I begin to ask, we have not because we ask not. So then, what we just saw Abram do is what we need to do in the spirit realm, spiritually. But it produces a physical outcome. So then now, I don't know if I've said enough, and if not, we can say more. But it's a brilliant place to ask the question as to whether you understood it like I taught it, and whether I taught it like you understand it. How about questions? Because the promised land, you need that part. Okay, I'll just read through. How about verse 7? And the Lord appeared unto Abram and said unto thy seed, I will give this land, and there I will give this land, and there builded he an altar unto the Lord, is what Abram did, who appeared unto him. And he removed from thence unto a mountain on the east of Bethel, and pitched his tent, having Bethel on the west, high on the east, and there he builded an altar unto the Lord, and called upon the name of the Lord. And Abram journeyed going on still toward the south. And there was a famine in the land, and Abram went down into Egypt to sojourn there, for the famine was grievous in the land. And it came to pass, when he was come near to enter into Egypt, he said unto Sarah his wife, Behold, now I know that thou art a fair woman to look upon. Okay, so it goes into some other things. But he got to the promises of God. And so the question is whether we're going to actually do the same. Because God promises some things in our lives, and we have to be able to hear his voice like Abram did, and move toward whatever he's speaking in our lives. The process is somewhat different while it's the same. How about questions? That's what this ministry is doing. That's what this ministry is for. It's for us to make it by this relationship to the promises that God has for each individual life, which every one of your lives and the promises for each person is different. I bet I'm using the right words now. And if I hear his voice, and that's the job of ministry, to teach you how to do that, then you can live here like when you get to heaven. So the record says, thine kingdom come, thine will be done in earth as it is in heaven. I don't have to wait until I get to heaven to have a great life. If I hear his voice, Abram, you need another dose of that. Now the Lord had said unto Abram, I'm going to slow this down. You need to process that. We might get somewhere, and I believe we will. But you need this today. So the Lord's speaking to Abram, right? So that means he had to have a relationship with him. He didn't just go to church, and he didn't just have an altar so he could pray. He actually had a relationship with him. You need one more dose of that. Now the Lord had said unto Abram, many people don't think that God speaks, but he does. So here's what he told Abram. He said, get out of thy country and from thy kindred and from thy father's house. This could be a spiritual thought also. That means you got to leave all the foolishness. And you need to get one-on-one with him. I thought we'd better slow this down. Because many times what we're finding is that we're actually hearing the words. This is a brilliant time for a commercial, I feel it. We're hearing the words, but we're not understanding the definition. We're not knowing the meaning of it. So then the one thing about, at least at this place, I'm not talking about bragging rights, I'm just talking about what's true, is that we've actually had enough time with each other, and even by those watching by Facebook, that we start to actually listen to what the people are saying on the songs. I like listening to the music too. I know you do, it sounds good. But I really want to hear, what are they saying? Yeah. And that's where we're at in our lives, aren't we? I'm not just listening to be listening. I want to hear what you're talking about. Because it might not be what's really going to benefit me and to make me, because I'm either building it up, walk with me just a little bit, or I'm tearing it down. There's only two ways that anything can be done. I'm either building it up or I'm tearing it down. I don't care what I say. So then we've gotten to a point in our lives where we actually are listening to you. And boy, I tell you, I just spoke. So I'm listening for what they're saying, not just what they're doing and how they're moving. I want to listen. Because see, if I'm listening close enough, God have mercy, I might be able to get out of there if it sounds like trouble's coming. But I got to be paying attention. And I got to hear. You ever been somewhere and you actually could hear, and it sounds like it's agitation, but you know, with black folks, many times, I said it, didn't I? With black folks, many times you don't know, with Latinos too, you really don't know if they're really friendly agitation or I'm going to stomp you down agitation. You know, sometimes you don't know. So sometimes you got to listen for a minute and say, okay, we're all right. We're okay. We're okay. They're not going to. And sometimes you got to say, uh-oh, time to go. Because this doesn't sound good. It's agitation, but it's going in a downward place. And somebody about to get beat down. Or they're just playing with each other. They know each other. Okay, I got it. They're all right. We're okay. We're okay. I can go back to cooking my cornbread. Everything is fine. Everything's fine. But here's what it said. It said, with Abram, it says, okay, in verse 1, get thee out of thy country. You got to get away from that foolishness and from them crazy relatives of yours. He wasn't even supposed to take Lot with him. And from thy father's house unto a land that I'm going to show you. This is what God is saying to us in ministry. This is the whole thing of what ministry is about. And like I say, all I can speak for is the Light Ministries and Greater Faith. Is that we're trying to show you that you can have a great life here. You don't have to wait till the by and by. Somebody heard that. How about questions? It's a good time for you to give me what you think. I can feel it. That's what this whole thing is about. If we could accomplish that and it was done, we could just shut these doors and go on home and go ahead and wait for the Flintstones to come on. I like that show. It goes by too fast these days, though. When I get to see it, they keep saying it's coming on at 6 o'clock, and it hasn't happened yet. I don't know what's going on. I don't get it. I like the Flintstones. They're pretty funny. How about questions? That's what this whole thing is about. Because some people, are not getting a good life on earth. That's because they're using the wrong currency. The currency for heaven is faith. The currency for the earth is money. So then if I don't get a lot of money, then my life's not going to be good. Wrong, wrong, wrong. That's what we came to say. He told Abram, if you can get a relationship, he tells you what to do, and the rest is history. God can promote you while they're asleep. That's what I found out. How am I doing? Am I doing okay? I'm checking because you hit me with it. And I want to make sure that everybody knows you can have a great life, and you don't have to go through people to make that happen. I said it. That's what we've been saying for 20 years, 21 years coming up in September. How about questions? How about thoughts? What God showed in the Old Testament is what we're supposed to walk out through Jesus in the New Testament. That's today. The destination is still the promised land. That's what the people that were in the South had to get to. That's what they called it. Where there was no slavery. I know. Every single thing that God was doing was trying to get us to a good life here. Life and life more abundantly. That's what everything he was doing. So he comes down because he said, I've had enough of this. The Christ gets here, and that's exactly, they thought he was going to take over Rome though, because Rome was this big, huge conglomerate. But he says, my kingdom is not of this world. I'm not trying to take over the earthly side of the world. I need you to understand that thine kingdom can come. You needed that C-A-N word in there. It can come through you. You don't have to wait until you get to heaven and have a great life. And the people that are asleep that don't know that, because you can't learn what's revealed. That's why they're killing each other and struggling and acting up and doing all the behaviors that's going on. That's why we're medicated. That's why we're all over the map. Been there, done that. Because we don't know that he has the ability to make our lives great. I tell you, I don't know what else to tell us. But that's the way it can be, if you choose. But he's not doing it outside of the relationship. When he split the veil, some of you won't know what I'm talking about, but it's okay if you keep listening, you will. In the Holy of Holies, only the high priest could go in. Everything that he did was getting us to a better life. He says, okay, so now you don't need a high priest to go to God for you. You don't need to go to the priest. You can come to God for yourself because I split the veil in twain, in two. Now you have complete access on your own. Is this making sense? So you can go to God for yourself. You have not. You're going to help me today, aren't you? Because you ask now. You have complete access. No wonder they said crucify him. Because it was Caiaphas, the high priest, that he was messing his gig up. Now you cutting us out of this? And so the memo didn't get to the Catholic Church. Because they still think they need a high priest. I'm sending the memo on a text message this morning then. Now you got to be careful when you get to the place where you don't need anything but God, because you'll mess around and mess up every relationship. Our job is to make sure that other people know what we're talking about right now. That's what this total ministry was about. I wouldn't even be doing this if We weren't doing that part of this thing, which is the whole part. I better qualify it. You don't need a high priest. He split the veil in two so that you and I can have access. We weren't even allowed in the Holy of Holies. Only the high priest was allowed to go behind the veil. I'm going to do something. Watch this. You'll really love this. So then, when I get married, I'm not supposed to go behind that veil either until there's a commitment. Am I doing any good? This is good, isn't it? Been there, done that. I messed it up. So then, God says, since that's what my covenant is, that's what my promise is, until you marry me, you're not getting behind, you're not getting anything. You're seeing it now, huh? Unless you're committed, I'm not giving you none. Okay, you get it now. But in the physical, because we got it wrong, we think we can hustle God. That's what church people do. I'll go to church with her. Come on, walk with me just a little bit. Come on, walk with me just a little bit. If I go to church, we died, yeah. If I go to church with her, she'll give me something. Many of folks been there, done that. But in God, he's so whole, he's not broken. How did we get over here? Goodness. He ain't going for no, I go to church with you and I'll do what you ask. He ain't going for that. He knows my motives. He doesn't know what pew I sit on. He doesn't care about that. How about thoughts? This is funny all by itself, isn't it? It's funny because it's in the midst of it being true. And we know exactly how we behave and have behaved and are behaving. There's some hustlers in the church right now thinking that if I go to church with her, but see, God doesn't work that way. I don't care how many times you show up. I'm looking at your motives. Why are you here? What are you doing here? What do you want? And if my motives aren't single-minded, a double-minded man is unstable in all his ways. If I don't actually say what I mean, this is Jackson's part, and mean what I say, he ain't budging. So then we crying and snotting, he didn't show up. No, you won't change. You won't get committed. And the commitment is in my heart, not in what I say, not in my head. I can say anything. I bet I'm on the right. I bet I am. And the moment I get committed, that I actually get serious, the moment that I marry him, because you ain't getting nothing, you ain't going behind the veil on him. You might have done it on her, but you ain't going behind the veil on him. And usually in the physical, it's setting us up for either success, good God, or failure in the spiritual. Yes, it is. That's why I said, wow, I connected the dots. I got to get this right. Because first of all, my incentive, I got to be honest with you, my incentive was I'm tired of living a jacked up life. Because I can touch, I can feel, I can hear. If I didn't have those senses in place, I would have just still thought that my life was okay. I know this is the right conversation. It wouldn't have mattered to me if I hadn't have my senses. You know, I can actually see the difference between that's a Chevrolet and that's a Maserati. I can see that. I'm not talking about any of the cosmetics. I'm just talking about I can see. I can see there's differences in the world. I'd like to do that. Huh? I'd like to try. I like that. I might not be everything, but hey, I like that. I'd like to do that. I'd like to be that. You have not. And then when you ask, you've asked with the wrong motives. You've asked amiss. You didn't want it so you could have something nice. You wanted it so you could impress your friends. Well, I ain't doing it. It has to be single-minded. It has to be bring him glory. This is gooder than good. This is the revealed stuff. How about thoughts?
So anything that I do that is less than trying to honor him is pretty much me just skating through life, just as we talked about before, just existing. Like I'm just
What you saying?
like I'm present, I'm here, I'm existing, I'm just moving through life, but anything less than actually doing it for the purpose of pleasing him and glorifying him is not really carrying any substance.
Right. And if I was going to use another word, it's hustling.
I have some other motive in mind. I'm not doing it for what I need to be doing it for.
Well, he knows our motives. When it comes to us, he knows why it came to us. He knows why I want it. That's why some things he can't do. But he can do anything with the right motive. So then, the one thing about motives is that you can't manipulate them. As soon as you think of the thing, the motives come right with it.
Yeah.
That's why I've got to seek ye first. You see it now. Because then, when I seek ye first the kingdom of God and its righteousness, then all these other things will be added unto me. There's some things I don't even want then, if he's first. And then if I see something, there's nothing wrong with having a Maserati. There's nothing wrong. He knows that. I appreciate you. He already knows that. He knows instantly. When my mom passed, I said, I wish that she had passed. He said, why do you want her to still stay? Well, I already thought, because it was my selfish reasons. I wasn't expecting the question. And the question is spiritually, everything he did in the physical, in the Old Testament, even in the New Testament, everything he did in the physical, he's trying to do also now, but it's through Christ. When he spoke to Abram to get up and move to this place, that it was, the description was, and is that it was well watered. And he and Lot just separated. One went to one direction, the other went in another direction. In fact, it was so nice, Abram said, I'll let you pick first. Lot, you can pick first. That's how nice it was. God is saying, that's where I'm at in my life. You can pick first. At the job where I deliver mail, you go ahead, you pick first. I have seniority over some of those people, and I don't go over there and tell them this is the part I want, because you got to be careful when you pick stuff. Usually, it turns out to be the worst thing. be really careful when you choose. The best thing to do is to let the process choose for you. It's just a thought. How about thoughts?
See, can I make this clear? In the reading we read, God spoke to Abraham. Okay, the example he's saying now, he already knew what he wanted Abraham to do.
Mm-hmm.
That's why he spoke to him, because he wanted to have him to do something. Mm-hmm. So the question is, if God speaks to me, all I need to do is follow. Because I know the outcome. I know the results of what's going to happen because it comes from him. He has already set up where I should be. All I got to do is move in it. So the question is, I don't wonder about is it going to produce anything because he spoke it.
Mm-hmm.
God spoke to Abraham. Mm-hmm. So he already knew that what he do, he already knew God was going to make it come to its fullness by him just doing what God say do. Mm-hmm. So now that takes away me having to trust in anything that I want or what I should do. My motives is going to line up because if he spoke it, if I did it, it's because he allowed it to happen. Mm-hmm. So that takes away my motive.
Well, but then there's certain things that I see in the physical. That's when it, because what he speaks, yes. But when I see that Bentley roll around that corner, oh boy, I stopped the truck. I said, "Where you going, man?" He had two of them on there and a Range Rover. Right? What you doing? Where you going? He was parked on the side of the road. Man, anybody ever seen one of those Bentleys? It'll get your attention. Oh yeah. And somebody said, well, that little Chrysler is a mini Bentley. Yeah, until like my boy said, until one come down the road. Oh yeah. And he had gotten it from an auction. I want one of those. Wow, $250,000 car for $30,000. So, I'm not talking about the thing, but man, I can see. And so then at that point, God says, well, why do you want it? For me, man, that's just nice. Well, he'll do it. But if my motive, but see, I'm used to some stuff. I said it, didn't I? Man, I can only speak for me. You better speak up for you. You better speak up for you. Because that's where God will either say yay or nay. Thank God I got used to a couple of things. I just think it's nice. That is nice. I like that. I saw we were going up to Cleveland yesterday, and so we had to go to a funeral. And I said, Ruth, that's an Airstream. Anybody know what an Airstream is? Those are those all silver tin can looking, camper looking things. Well, that's top of the line. That's the Mercedes, Cadillac, whatever you want to say, of the camper RV stuff. It says Airstream across the front of it. It's kind of roundish, more of a roundish thing. Well, oh yeah, we're talking about a 30-foot camper is $1,000 a foot is what it costs you. Yes. A camper. You say a house. And they'll look, they got a little better look to them, but if the person that saw them that really didn't know what they were, they really don't look like, oh, that's it. Some things aren't costly for what's on the outside. You get inside, those heated seats and stuff and things. But it's top of the line. And I said, well, Ruth, look at that. She knows what they are, though, because she knows. But I said, there's an Airstreams, a couple of them, they were sitting somewhere where they were stored. No, he was selling them. That's what it was. It was a lot. So, yeah. But why do you want it? That's what he's going to ask. And the one thing about my motives is I can't manipulate it. It's like when you love someone, everybody might be telling you something different, and you still just go right on. Because you can't manipulate certain aspects of who you are. That's where you were talking about the internal person. We're who we really are is our spirit, not our flesh. But you can't manipulate your motives, because whatever you're thinking, that's what your motives will become. Am I doing any good? So God looks at our attitudes toward what we're thinking, not what we're saying. Because I could say something different than what I'm thinking. But you can't trick him like that. You can trick people like that, but not God. Because he knows my thoughts. The record says from afar off. Then they start talking about he knows every hair on my head. You can't trick him. So the relationship has to be sincere. How about those? We're coming on through this storm. I didn't even know we were going this way. But we need to really know that we can have a great life by making this relationship. We need to know that. You don't need someone to make you. God's sufficient. He's enough. In fact, more than enough. But back on that other side, I got to thank God. I got used to something. And I had to practice getting used to it by talking to it. You don't mean anything to me. There are some things in our lives that if we're going to actually ask, we better really think about putting it in its proper place. Well, how you get used to something, you need this is by making the thing only become what it's supposed to be for. The car is for transportation.
I was just like, use it for its.
The house is to rest in. The shower is to, any time that, see, God says this adamantly, and you all are going to be just fine. You can have anything, but don't let it have you. And once you understand that, then you can have the parts of life without it making you somebody important. So when somebody tells me, just like the other day, well, I'm a Muslim, I said, I'm sorry, man, I must have really mistaken because you look like a person. You do. You got legs and feet and hands. Make the thing only what it is. Anytime that it crosses over, now there's a problem, because now I'm tripping. That's why God said, they're not ready. But what I'm speaking is a generational word. I was ready at teenager for many things. Because I saw parents and grandparents that only made things single-minded, what they were. Granny wasn't tripping. Mom and Dad weren't tripping. Granddaddy wasn't tripping. So then what else am I going to be? These people tripping. Don't let them get a new tape measure. Don't let them get don't let them get two paint stirring sticks. You like that? That was good, wasn't it? That was really good. And now they have stirring sticks that are this big. I got two of them. You see people like that? You all right? Okay. That's what I hit them with all the time. That's what our job is. Our responsibility is when we step into an environment, we step in to bring it into scales, to balance it. Okay, all right. You doing all right? Have to ask that sometime. You okay? All right, man. All right. Oh, man, it's cool. Yeah. Get used to something. That's the reason why music is blasting, and a real big one. That's why conversations on the phone, why do I have to hear that? And I'm 3 houses away from you. I'm walking down the sidewalk and I can hear your conversation on the phone. I ain't got used to anything. Not ready. I go on one side of the neighborhood and it's quiet. I go back and here goes the party. We are asleep. And what's ironic about the quiet side is that that's where the homeowners are. I tell you, I wish I could give you a better report. Yeah. I don't want to tell you about the other side then, because that's enough. Yeah.
I do see what you mean, though. I do understand.
Same stuff.
You see very specific examples
Mm-hmm.
of
Projection.
sorry. You definitely see a specific examples in your daily
Mhm.
walks. Where
Literally in the same day.
yeah, where you can see how some folks are really understanding, or at least, trying their best to understand
Mm-hmm.
that I'm actually getting what I'm asking for.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have other sides where either the action is not even happening.
Yeah. Oh yeah. You tallying it up, right? Go ahead.
Either the action is not
There's
even
multiple.
happening, or
Mm-hmm.
you're acting with the wrong motives,
Mhm.
or
Keep going.
it is, or like you said,
Mm-hmm.
you're thinking of it more than what it is.
A lot of different reasons. Oh yeah.
And to your point, it just keeps going and keeps going. It's like, but it doesn't have to be any of those things. It can be just, where's your heart? Where's your heart?
You know what I could hear when you were speaking? That dinner's gonna taste so much better today. I can hear that. I can hear when you were just saying what you were saying. Right. Why are you tripping? We just, we don't get many chances. But that's our job, is to come into those environments, in those schools, in those jobs, in the communities, wherever we're at. And our job is to bring balance. That's our assignment. Just like yesterday at the funeral. What are you going to do? That's going to produce a harvest in the next 2-3 generations. What are you going to do now? That was the question. The guy kept telling me. Every time I went up, as I was moving the program along, that was the question. What are you going to do that's going to produce a good harvest? Because 2.5 to 3 generations ago, we put our buddies in as pastors. I hope that phone is working. We put our buddies in as pastors, and so this is the harvest of that. People who have a zeal. So yesterday, they sounded like they were cranked up, but then I said, what happened? It fizzled out. So there's a few people for many. I bet you got that. It's only 2 or 3 that's going to actually walk this thing out, that's going to actually become what we're reading. What are you going to do? That's going to produce the right harvest later. Or are you just going to be present and in attendance?
So, because I've heard us say, I've heard that in here a lot.
Mm.
You know, are you in attendance or are you actually trying to get on to the better things that are promised for you? And I guess I'm looking at it differently now, where I'm just like, okay, that doesn't just apply to church, that applies to every part of life.
Mm-hmm.
When you're in a space, so, you know, like you said, school, work, community,
Wherever you're at.
you're gonna have this dynamic where some is trying to do that. They're trying to understand, like, okay, there is a promise for me, I wanna walk it out, and then for some, or even most sometimes, it's just, so it's like the space I have,
Mm-hmm.
you know, 20 people
There you
in
go.
it, but
There you
it'll
go.
only be like 2 that's actually trying to get on with it.
But your job, and more so, your responsibility and our responsibility is to change that environment. When I go in, so then what I do is I keep practicing. I keep on reading. I keep on getting more bullets. I got the gun loaded for 2 grizzlies and a moose. And I only have to shoot once. I'm knocking everything down. And so then it becomes more premeditated to much of a degree. So then when I go into a space, even at that church yesterday, I'm listening to see, what are you needing me to do, God? What's and so then I get a premeditated. I got my holster. I got it filled with bullets that are just, you know, got the right stuff on it. It's named and ready to be loaded. I'm ready with that around my waist, but then I get some new ammunition in case I have to shoot something bigger than a moose. You know, I might have to knock down a polar bear. You know, because you never know what you're gonna meet. Am I making any sense? And so then I'm rehearsing this. I get to rehearse every day with the homies that I'm delivering mail to. I'm rehearsing, and I know just right behind each other. I'm walking them. So then the first question I ask you is, what's next? I don't ask the questions in another order. I don't ask you what ministry you're at first, because if I ask you what ministry you're at first, then you're going to be prepared for when I ask you what's next. So I ask the questions in reverse, and I've got this real scientific way of doing it now. So then I ask you, first of all, what's next? And then after you don't know the answer, and many times people don't, and probably 99% of them don't, then I ask you, what ministry are you in? And then if you tell me you're a Muslim, or you're in this ministry that you know, because usually when the ministry question comes up, they get really bold. I'm sitting down to do ministry. And so then when they say that, I say, well, you know, I kind of walk it a little bit. Well, how long have you been there? And, oh boy. Well, I've been there 20 years. Well, you know, I got a fish on the line now. I got a fish on the line, and I'm pulling him. I'm going to let him run for a little while. I got him. Oh, but he's a big old carp, too. And so then I say, well, man, it sounds like you're at the wrong place. The wrong place? What you talking about, the wrong place? Well, you know, you telling me that you've been there for 20 years and you don't know what's next? So then, let's be generous. Oh man, I got this rehearsed. We've been standing here every bit of about 30 seconds, but let's be generous. Let's say a minute, 60 seconds, at least a minute. How many minutes do you think is in 20 years? Took us every bit of 60 seconds to get to what's going to produce you and your life. And you've been there for 20 years and you haven't got a bag of groceries yet. Because you told me. You didn't know. Oh, so one of two things is getting ready to happen. I can feel it. I can feel it. One of two things is getting ready to happen. Either you're going to get honest with yourself and know that that's the answer you gave, or you're going to cover for them. Now, usually what people do, this is what I tell them, usually what people do at that point, because I asked you the questions in reverse. If I'd have asked you first what ministry you were in, you would have been on high alert. Then you would have said some kind of dressed up little answer, even if it was not much. But you already told me. You didn't know what to do. And you've been there how long? You don't want me to ask the next question. Man. So, what you gonna do? You gonna either cover for them, or you gonna get on to this life that you know you need to get to? Because only you know what that means, standing in those shoes of yours. Boy, okay, we're walking away. Don't know what to do. They playing chess out here, not checkers. It's equivalent to being lost. Oh man, don't mix that with a Muslim answer and being lost. Ooh, gasoline and fire. Because they think they're somebody. And then they find out. You got to go to the manual to find out who you are. Do you have enough for 3 generations? I said, man, I got to get myself together. How about those? And the very thing that he told Abram is what we're supposed to be doing, is getting to the promises. So am I going to just continue to read this, or am I going to be it? I hope that camera, I know you're staying on it. Which one am I going to do?
So, my understanding of that is this word, the conversation that you are having is an encouragement that there is promises there that are set up for every person. And if a person is listening to this right, you're just, you're just trying to encourage them to like, hey, go ahead. Like, it's like a gentle, come on, just like we was reading in the Daily Bread about, like, reaching the hand out and, helping the person. It's like ministry is trying to, the good ministry is trying to do that. They're just trying to say, look, it's wonderful things out here for you. Just, all you gotta do is just get up. Just believe. Just, if you need some help, I got you by the hand. Come on, let's just do it. Let's stop wasting time. Let's just get up and start moving towards that, because we don't know how long we're going to be on this earth, but I would think you want to spend every single moment of it trying to get to what is supposed to be promised to you. So, for example, if I only got 10 years left, then I need to be working hard these 10 years. I can't spend 5 of them sitting down doing nothing. I got to work hard these 10 years. And that's not even, again, that's not even, probably, I don't know. I'm just saying that as an example, like, I don't know how long I got. So it's like, if I can, and it's a beautiful side to that as well, because I'm thinking, like, if I have 10 years, then I'm like, oh man, like, let me see how much I can accomplish. Let me see how much, God can lead me toward in these 10 years. That's exciting. But then I also think about the more beautiful side of it. Like, so what if I got 60 years left? What can I do, right? Like, with Christ on my side helping me out, like, how far can I get in 60 years? So now I'm even more excited, because I'm just like, oh man, like, if I actually just start now and start moving and start doing what I need to be doing, which is following Christ into the promises that he has for me, whatever amount of time I have, all of it can be great. all of it can be moving forward. All of it can be progressive. You know, and yeah, I think that's, yeah.
Let me ask you a question right quick, bro. What does the word says to us? Because the word said it is true. If the word said it is true, then I don't have to wonder anymore. If the word tells me that God given a promise, I don't have to wonder no more where I am or where I'm going or what it's going to be like. If the word, whatever the word tells me, I should be able to walk that out in my life without wondering, without seeing other things, because I want to always see what the word says to me. Because the word is going to establish me, it's going to fix me, it's going to elevate me, it's going to change me, it's going to help me. So that takes away all of my own thinking or my hopes and my dreams. Because everything in me takes me right back around to him. He sets my standards. He makes it clear to me. He helps me to develop the right mindset. And what that tells me is that he is going to make it work out, not me. He's going to set the standards, not me. He's going to elevate my life, not me. See, I have to look at the mindset. If God promised it, then I already know it's true. Because his word says his word is true. So everything God promised me that I can have, he's already established me. And it's funny, in his kingdom, here on earth. Did you get that? He's already established it. His kingdom in me while I'm here on earth. That's his promise. He said, that's my promise. I promised that to you. So I look at it from this perspective. God promised it to me. Then I'll have no other choice but believe in his promise.
No,
because I know
no,
his
no,
word
no
is
choice.
true.
That's why people don't get it, don't receive it, because they don't move on it.
That's it.
I go to the graveyard before I'm finished. It's still, so then now he's got to send it into the next generation. Because I never received fully. But see, a lot of people would say this is this earthly conversation, this is this, materialistic or whatever. No. That's why it has to be for the right motives. To bring him glory. So that it helps someone else. Whatever you do, if I get a car, I need to get somebody a ride. It's real simple. So I don't have to go into all the other examples. It's got to be for his glory. And he'll do anything. But see, we get caught up on the thing that he's doing. Instead of, because then that says, oh, well, it's materialistic, or whatever they want, excuse they want to use. It's an excuse for complacency. There's people that only want to go to church just to be in attendance. They don't want to actually, I'm gonna hit you with this and it'll make sense. People don't want any more relationships in their life. But that's what this is. Yeah. Relationships are hard. You know those knuckleheads on the playground don't have good sense. So why should I try to be their buddy? Nobody wants any more relationships. So they settle for church membership. Come on, Demetrius, you have some more.
That's the point that I needed to make clear. God promises is his promise. That's something that he's guaranteed us. That we can have and we can cherish. We can walk that out in our life because we understand his word. He said his word is true. His word is life. His word, and by his promises, everything in God's promises sets us in a position to follow him. Because everything he does and everything he promises us, he allows us to have the ability to walk it out. If we know who he is. That goes back to the relationship. if we have that relationship with him, we already know that what he does, he makes it clear for us. To be able to follow him and be led by him and be able to see the success that it's going to produce in our lives through him. It's his promises that makes everything clear for us. And we got to understand that is his word.
Yes.
He spoke it. He speaks it to us even right now, because we talk about having that kingdom mindset while we here on earth. Some people don't look at it as what it is. But we are living our lives out to become a kingdom citizen, and part of God's kingdom citizenship. That's not living like the world lives. Because the thing about it, what makes it different, he's the king. He's established kingdom. So it's not about the world, it's about me living my best life out now in his kingdom, for his kingdom citizenship become real in my life today, because I'm living like a king. Ooh, people can't understand it. It's just stuck on earth. No, I can't live that way here by the earth standards. I can't enjoy life in a kingdom like I'm living my life in earth. I can't do that because he's a king. He's establishing kingdom citizenship. So that means that I have to live, act, say, and do things as I am living as a king in his citizenship. Which has nothing to do with the world.
And citizenship gives you all rights and privileges. I bet you that's clear. So then, in heaven, in eternity, you all were sitting in this building. I'll give you 30 seconds. And what he showed me a glimpse of this lit faces of these pews being totally full. Just when he showed me, or gave me the thought of, in eternity, you had already, you were there, and so then you came into it into time. You need another 30 seconds for that. See, once I understood that, that's why we went ahead and made decisions of, yea, Lord.
So I have a thought about that point. If I have and continue to build a relationship with him, that means I am becoming more like him, and I'm thinking more like him and being more like him. The thought that I have behind that is that what it, when I get to that point, is that when I'll start to actually see things that are to come before it even gets here.
And, well, that's when he'll be able to do more in your life.
Like, I guess...
Because you have the knowledge of it now, because we're teaching it.
Yeah. Because I guess what I'm thinking about is like, does certain folks start to develop like this ability to be able to, they don't know exactly, like say it's like a building, right? Like they keep going past this building, but they keep having like this familiar feeling or this, just something about this reoccurrence. And then turn around and like 2 years later, they're sitting in it or whatever, or I guess it's like I've heard of those types of things.
It can happen that way.
I think I've even experienced it like once or twice, where something has occurred so much.
Oh yes, like a, yeah.
Like what is? Do you know what is that called? Or what is?
You're talking
what
about
is
like that deja vu type thing that, you see something a few times. So then God works that way to tell you that's the pursuit of it, if that's what it is. Or that's the affiliation with you of it, whatever that means.
Okay.
I don't know, I'm not sure what that would mean.
Okay.
You know, if it keeps coming up, it's something you're supposed to process in it. That's about the best I can say, because I don't know
I think that's it.
if there's an obtaining, I don't know if there's going in and being there, I don't know. But I do know that he tells us which direction to go next. And the whole measure of it is us not putting our hands on certain things. You've heard that report. So that we'll be sure that that's what is supposed to be. Now, I don't know be what, because it's too many B's to be able to describe it. I don't know what it is for you as it is for me. But what went on in eternity, and it still continues, we had already acquired this in eternity. Once we understand that eternity stands outside of time, and God declares everything out of it, which is eternity, the key is will it manifest itself in time through us?
And okay, and that's
Did that make sense?
yeah. And so that break.
That makes sense.
That's
Go ahead.
that's the part. So I was thinking about that because I was thinking about what we were covering today, which is about April. Like I'm wondering, did God only talk to him once, and he just responded, or was it like God was talking to him in series, just kind of like talking with him? That's the part that I guess I'm just trying to figure out. Like, is it? Like I know that if we build a relationship with him more and more, then we'll get to the point of being able to respond right away.
Because the report said at that time, but see, we don't know that.
Okay, and then okay.
I'm sure there was, it took time for him, because God, we're not waiting on God.
I'm waiting on us. And that's the part that I'm trying.
And it's very much possible, but no matter when. See, my outlook is let's get this on done. I know that's yours, y'all's too. I heard you. Let's get this on done so we can get to whatever's next. Because the next thing ain't gonna come if I don't get to the first thing. But eternity and time are two different places. So then when God spoke this, you're sitting in what was in eternity. The question is we don't always know what it is, but we have to keep moving toward the unction. We have to move toward what he speaks. We have to move toward whatever he drops in our spirit. The sad news, again, is for those that go to the graveyard and never get to that. Abraham could have done the same thing. But he didn't. Now the Lord had said unto Abram, there's the word had, so that means that he said it before this time.
And that's okay. And that, I guess that's where my mind was going, where like it's this, like we even talk about in here a lot, it's different levels to this, and it's like, the first beginning part is just, choosing, right? It's just choosing God as your, direction, as the one that's going to guide your life, putting your all and everything into, him and what he has for you. But I do believe that there's levels to that too, where it's like, okay, you just graduating and graduating and graduating and just keep going and going. And that part just kind of makes me, I don't know what level or part that is, but it just makes me feel like that's a level two, where he'll, in a sense, talk to you, and I guess I'm just asking, like, he'll talk to you more than once. He'll talk to you about promises for your life before you even get to the promise physically. Like, he'll just actually, and I think that just comes out of the relationship where it's like, okay, and the questions come, like, okay, God, what are you trying to show me? Because it's like something to be showing itself or revealing itself in your life. I'm sorry if this sound all over the place.
That's exactly what we go through.
But it's like you.
The camera's rolling, right?
It's like you'll see things and you'll hear things and you'll notice things and you just like, okay, God, what are you trying to show me in this? because
Mhm.
I'm seeing it too much. Like I'm
Right.
experiencing it too much. What are you trying to show me? And you know, the encouragement side of it is just like, okay, it's possible that it's a promise that God is trying to get you on to. He's just trying to give you like, almost like giving you a glimpse of what the promise is, just to encourage you.
Well, as soon as I step in and I'm under the authority of God, I'm connected to Him. I believe that. Do you believe in the Lord Jesus the Christ? And do you believe that He died and He sits at the right hand of God, speaking to God on your behalf? See, automatically, that now I'm in a whole different place. And so then whatever comes in front of me, I need to receive it. You know? And then He'll tell me when that's not what that's for. He'll say, wait. He'll say, hold on. Because sometimes He says, go forward. Sometimes He says, wait. Sometimes He says, not now. I mean, even in verse 4, it could have said, so Abraham finally departed, but it doesn't. But it does give you enough to say, so Abraham departed, so it was that time.
Yeah. Yeah.
But had said means past. But I don't know if that was right before he left
Right. Yeah. Okay.
or a year before.
Yeah.
And so then that's a good process. And so then if I brought it down to its least common denominator, it's a math equation, right? I would be kind of moving toward whatever it is that He wants me to do. But now, that still doesn't mean that thinking people
Yeah.
are not allowed, I better say it right, to think through the process, because that's Pastor Ruth Kelly all day long. She thinks through it. Everybody processes things differently. And of course, we know that we want the best for people, but everybody doesn't want that. The reason why many times people will abort this kind of teaching is because they don't want to put the labor into the relationship.
I got you.
Or 100 other different reasons. I just want to go to church. I just want to be in attendance. Different reasons why people don't want to move toward, and some of them just don't even believe this is true. But, you know, how about those?
I'm gonna give an example of my process, and hopefully it'll help make things clear. When I start seeking my relationship with Christ, it takes me into another place. Because the reason why it takes me to another place, because I start looking for answers from Him. He begins to speak to me. Things He speaks to me, it allows me to know that some things that I see, and some things I don't. But as He revealed to me, the reason for what He's showing me, He makes it clear to me. But He revealed it to me, and what it does is, it means that I can read my Bible 1,000 times, over and over and over again, and I think I know it. But God will come back and reveal something to me that I see, that I didn't see after I read it 1,000 times before. So He reveals to me that it's like this. He brings it back to my remembrance of what he had already said to me and tried to show me, but I didn't see it. But He made it clear. So the vision I keep seeing over things, God keep having to remind us, because we are human, we got a fleshly mind. He have to keep reminding us so we can get back to what He wants us to do. Because sometimes we'll get off track. We'll go searching for it other places, and we'll start thinking that's what God wants us to be. No, God has to come back and remind us and reveal to us what He already told us before that we didn't do.
That's a good
And he brings it back, and he keep it because he brings visions to us.
That's a good point.
He brings those hidden things to us that we think, and then we might not see it clear. But he'll bring it back to us again so we can be sure that what he said, that's what he expects us to do, not what we want to do. Because we get caught up in this is what I should do. Not what God said I should do. See, it's different. I say I should do it, but God said I should do it. But see, we get caught up in that illusion that it's this way. God said, no. So I revealed it to you. I brought it to you for you to receive it the way I gave it to you. Not what you want to see, but what he wants to see. And that's where, and it all comes back to that relationship. Once I know God, I respond to what God tells me to do. I don't do nothing unless God tells me to do it. See, it takes me out of the equation. Because I know now that being in a relationship with him, everything that God said he does it for us to bring it back to him. We have to glorify him. And so that helps me to understand now that relationship is very important to me, because when he speaks to me, I want to hear his voice. And then how I check with him to make sure it's his voice, Lord, what did you tell me? That lets me know that I'm still seeking him, even though I heard the voice. But I want to make sure that what I heard is his voice. And so he has to keep, it's part of what we talk about. He reveals it. Ain't nothing we learn. He reveals it to us. That way we know that what he reveals to us is true. Because Satan won't reveal nothing to us that's good. He'll reveal to us something that's going to keep us hindered up under him. God reveals this to us so it can prosper our life. As we get, well, can say what's next, so we get on to and become what is next inside of his kingdom. I have to throw that in there because we have to be, but we should be soon. What he said we should be establishing in us is his kingdom. And that's the way we should be living now.
You know, we had an example the last time, because I heard that kind of come into even what you were saying, because now his word, he'll never contradict. So then, let's just say, for example, because you were saying the relationship, and that's exactly what it is. So then, the spelling out of what something is, let's just say the relationship that I have with Ruth, that'll never supersede whatever he says to go against that which is in the Word. Did that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Never. If that happens, then that's a duplicator. That's Satan.
Oh, yeah.
I got you.
So I'm supposed to still build her up. I'm supposed to still be in every way, everything that I'm supposed to be as a husband. So then that's the part. So then if something comes to me that goes against that relationship, that's the deceiver. Because he's a duplicator. You have to be very careful, because he'll get you in a place, he'll actually do something good.
Oh, yeah.
Satan will.
He will.
And that's, yeah.
Those are the parts right there, yeah.
Right. He'll premise something. He'll premise that what you hear should supersede what you should do with relationships. That's Satan. Because it'll never do that. That's how you'll know who's speaking, because he gives gifts. He gives stuff and gifts and all of that. But he will, so then, if, let me go in a whole different, So if I'm a Congress person and I got there by sleeping with somebody to get the position, that ain't God. You see what I'm saying?
Because it supersedes
And then some people will say, well, he got a blessing. No. Mm-mm. If you want to know who it came from, look to see what you had to do to get it. Did that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Because on the surface, they would say, well, I was blessed, now I'm the president of the United States. Well, what did you do to get that? What deals did you cut? Who did you make a deal with? What did you have to do to get there?
Who had to suffer?
Because God gives stuff free and clear and perfect. He doesn't put a cost on it. And the cost is your conscience. Yeah, this is why people want to just have attendance. I don't want to be that responsible. I want a little bit of the world, and I want a little bit of the church.
I got you.
Nobody wants to sell out, totally. But I found out that my life is not going to be good if I don't commit. I have to be in a covenant, committed relationship with Him. I don't want to be halfway in and halfway out. Seems like I heard that from some of you guys even in the past. That's double-minded. That's not saying what you mean. See, all of that. Because if I wasn't, well, if I didn't say what I mean and meant what I say, then I could never be committed. Because salt water and fresh water can't come out of the same stream. I mean, one or the other. That's why those seats are empty. Because people thought that they could just straddle the fence, as it's been called. Because God knows my motives. You see it. It's so crystal. Yeah. If I'm not single-minded, I need to be single-minded. Even if I could become double-minded quickly, I gotta get back to single-minded. Oh, wait, hold it. Woo. I bet something that all the men said. Amen. Whoa, 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 whoa. Let me just come out of this completely. Because I'm not going into it single-minded. Because there's certain things that we can see and hear. And I did the rest of the senses also, so cover for you. And smell. The cornbread smells good. See, I'm covering for you. Man, it's crazy. But if you want your completed life, I do. I want my completed life because it looks like it's pretty beneficial. I like Kool-Aid with my meal. I don't want to eat a meal without a drink. Because first of all, I'm going to choke. I want everything. Eternity and time is the components. And once I understand that, that's why the prompting comes. That's why the showing you the different parts of life. That's why the thought process comes. That's coming out of eternity. And the reason I know it's coming out of eternity because do you believe in the Lord Jesus the Christ? Do you believe that He died and He sits at the right hand of God, speaking to God on your behalf? See, once I'm in that fraternal side of that unification, once I'm in that group, then it's not just stuff just coming toward me, it's coming from a certain place, which is eternity. And if I do it, then it will manifest itself in time. And that's what I need to make sure that my life does. It manifests everything that I'm supposed to manifest while I'm here. I was born in 1522. I'm here now. Once I saw that connection, though, eternity and time, I said, oh my. And all it took was for something to show up. You're going to really hear me now. Something that manifested itself in time, that means it shows up. Something to show up that I know I shouldn't have gotten. And one of those things was that van that we didn't have good credit for. I said, oh boy. Because he works in small things to get you to the big things, Abram. And when you know you're not qualified, when you know you don't have enough, and it still happens, it'll get your attention. If you're paying attention. If you're awake, if you're in him. You'll say, whoa, did you see that? What is this? And the more I move toward him, the more stuff starts coming into place that I really know I shouldn't be able to get. Anybody hear me? If you can have the attribute of paying attention, you can really walk with the Christ. You say, whoa, what just happened? Let's do it again. So then you start conducting your entire life. I heard somebody say that. Everything. Demetrius said that. In that same way. So now, I'm not walking by the earth standards anymore. Because I see that it doesn't work for me. Why should I return back to something you're going to really hear me? I just say that part. Why should I return back to something that doesn't work for me? It never worked. All it did was treat me bad. And set me up to make me think it was going to work. It never worked. Goodbye. I want a life before I leave here. I like nice stuff. We've done these days. We've been saying this for 21 years. I'm sick and tired of not having a good life. I want hot water. I want a washing machine. And it looks like they made more than one, so I just want one. How about those?
It was something that just came to me that he gave me an example of it. We are talking about a king. Jesus came. Now we know it's the storyline as what a king is. But he came riding on a donkey, living on normal life, basis on things, but he was a king. Imagine yourself living that way today. As the way he lived. He didn't come in all these jewelry and all these extravagant things. He came as a normal person, looking like a normal person to flesh, but he was the king. That lets us know that we don't have to think that we gonna have to be all this to become what Christ said we should become in him. We don't need all this glamour thing. All thing we need is him. He makes it possible for us to become king, to live out that lifestyle here on earth according to what the promise that he gave us. And so that tells me, no, I don't need all this glamorous stuff the way people say I need it. I have to have, or I'm not living my life this way, or I need to live that way. No, Christ came as a human being in the flesh, normal. And he took on the kingdomship. He didn't change to become wearing robes and all this. He stayed the same. And so that tells me that I just need to see him, be a part of him. And he said I can have what he had and more abundant. So that kingdom that he's talking about doesn't mean that I have to live beyond what he said I can live. Because in him, I have everything. And if I have everything, then I'm already living like the king. Because I'm in him. And that's what he showed me. He said the glimpse of just See, we look at it, a king, like Reverend Kelly said, being in Rome, want to take control. No. I love the simple way God has my life now. And I said this morning, I told Reverend Kelly, I'm living like a king because when I do that, I'm in him, he in me, and everything God does, it progresses me. I know that I'm not living in fear. I'm not living in worry and frustration. I know I can have peace, joy, and happiness because he promised that to me. And if I can live that part out of my life, I'm living like a king here on earth. Because a lot of people looking for this gold and all these things that symbolizing of what they say kingdom gonna look like. How do we know? We ain't never been there. So I started forming my mindset to be able to do the things that he said I can do, and things that he said I can have. It takes me right around to the circle. It's him. He established everything. He makes everything. He set everything in place for me to be able to just walk it out in my life and live by his promises.
You have to be very careful because that's fine, but there's some things that there's such a graduation in this. I'm glad that there's this portion. There's some things that God did in our lives, and he just said, because I wanted to. And so you have to be very careful because Satan will feed you some of that stuff. The attitude is as long as it's for his glory, as long as I want it for the right reason. But you're right. If I want it for self, but see, that's not the conversation we're having. So we have to be very careful that we're not hearing some things that's causing God to do less in our lives than what he wants to. I have to be very careful. Sometimes that comes out of spirit of poverty. So I got to be careful that I'm not downgrading, because you can do that. So then here's the question that I had to ask in some years past. What happens when them, you know who them are, what happens when them becomes us? What happens when who I used to be now is who they are? What happens when things get gooder and gooder for me? And now I'm not over where I used to be. You gotta be really careful. Because what happens is we need to take our thoughts out of this thing totally. And we need to say, Lord, have your way. Because supposing I need, so God did some things in our lives just so we could rest. That's all the reason for it. Lord, why'd you do all of this? Because I wanted to. So then I got to be careful I'm not blocking blessings for my life. And I understand. By saying, I only need this much, how do you know what you need? And so then, let me take you further. How do you know what you're going to need? I'm just using the examples. How do you know what you need when you get to where you're going? See, surrendering takes all of my attitudes out of it. I don't have any thoughts anymore. Now, there's some things that I would maybe like, and God says, I'll do that too. But the question still circles back around. Why do you want it? We'll block a blessing to keep people from criticizing us. I want the blessings that gets on their nerves. That's what I want. Sometimes God can talk us into something only for ourselves to talk us out of it. No. I'm going to receive everything that he has for us. If you haven't gotten on somebody's nerves, then God ain't even in what you got going. He ain't even a part of it. If they haven't told some people, you really graduated when they start telling people that they hate you and you can hear them say it. You really graduated getting on their nerves then. But until you get some haters, God hadn't even shown up in your life. The question is are you ready for that? Now this teaching should get you ready for it. You've got to get to a place where you can't, we've been in this for a minute. We didn't even get to the notes. We got to get to a place where we get really prepared with haters, for haters. If you're not prepared for haters, you're not ready for this. That's why those pews are empty also. Because people do not like critics. Because words do hurt. Until you don't care. Satan will take something good and twist it. And I heard your words, so I just, we all heard what Demetrius is saying. We've all been there. Well, I don't want to, oh no. I want everything. Now, if I have all this gold and jewelry and all of that, and it's not bringing him glory, then he's not doing it anyway. I'm telling you something though. Once you get in a relationship, there's certain things you don't even want. Because so it doesn't even deserve a piece of dialogue. There's certain things that what good is that going to do? I told Ruth, I said, I would buy you another diamond if people wasn't dying over it. I can't do that. She had one, and it's wore out. But people are dying over that. Blood diamonds. Over mining diamonds. People are dying over that. We can't do that. So pick something different if you want it. Because I understand, but pick something different. We can't do that. Once I know better, am I making any sense? But don't limit what God wants to do in your life by how you've been conditioned. I don't even know what the extreme is because I haven't gotten to it yet. I don't know how much he wants to do in my life because I haven't gotten totally to it yet. I need to be open to God. Whatever you want to do, Lord.
So with that mind, with that thought, to me, the connection that I'm making is that ties directly into the complete surrender.
Mm-hmm.
Because at that point now you're just like what we've heard today is just like once you completely surrender, then the more or less or perfect amount that's supposed to be for you is
Mm-hmm.
going to come in due time for you, specifically designed for you, but it's not up to us what that is. It's more so just focus on the surrendering to him and listening to him, and all the rest of it just
Mhm.
kind of unfold the way it needs to unfold. What I'm hearing is just be in place where you need to be in place.
Be better.
Just, if I need to move into this further, then if that's what I'm supposed to do, then I need to do that. If I need to hold still
Mm-hmm.
and not do pretty much anything at this point in this,
Not sure.
then I need to do that. But the complete surrendering into him allows me to listen. It allows me to actually, like we just talked about, pay very, very close attention to what I'm actually supposed to be doing. And it actually made me think about when we was talking about before with Harriet Tubman.
Mm-hmm.
And she's trying to gather all these slaves through, you know, if it wasn't for her being directly in tune with God, telling her what to tell not only herself but other folks on when to move, when to stop, when to move, when to stop, then she wouldn't have made it 19 trips.
Mhm.
You know, and that's like, that's a big deal.
Yes.
Yeah, she didn't just do it once, she did it 19 times. And it's like the only way you could possibly even do it once is by listening to him.
Mm-hmm.
But to do it 19 times to save others, you really got to pay attention. Like, you really have to, like, all the minor details, like, you got to really pay attention. And like, the only way you can do that is if you just stop and just pay attention. Just stop and listen. Like, you can't be distracted by this, that, and the third. Like, you actually just have to be like zero in, 100% focused. And I'm thinking about that just from the aspect of everything that we do. Is like, if you want to become extremely good at something, you got to put a lot of time and energy. Just like we was talking about with the daily bread, with the lady with the ballet. It's like, that stuff was ingrained in her. She was probably practicing day in and day out for years. And for her to enter into this stage of Alzheimer's and still be able to hear a tune and hear emotion and just automatically, it's like, that takes focus, that takes determination, that takes paying very close attention to the minorest details. And only way